how's it going, you guys? So the topic of this video is older men dating in Brazil. And I like to cut to the chase in my videos. So the answer is yes, you really can date younger chicks that you wouldn't get in the United States. There are more chicks available to older men in Brazil than in the United States. So I'll cut straight to the chase. All right. Now, there are other places that are better. Ecuador is better. Colombia is better than Brazil in this regard. So I've had a lot of people ask me to make these video about dating. I keep hearing it. Um, and so I'm doing it, but I want to let you know that I'm not um I like Brazil more than the other places. And for example, Ecuador, I couldn't I couldn't stay there. The best girl who was younger than me, very fit and hot and attractive as a woman, was in Ecuador. Okay, but I didn't want to live there. And she was, for family reasons and her child and some, it wasn't going to work out for her to leave. She had a car there, a job as a hairdresser, a good one, right? So, there are better places. There are better places. This is a funny picture than Brazil for this. Okay, and I'm going to go into that in a second here, where I'm going to talk about some of the other places that may be better for that. So I like Brazil, and that's why I got a digital nomad visa here. I've spent in total in the neighborhood of 3 years in Brazil, but this time, right now, I've only been here 11 months straight. Okay. I've spent just as much time recently in places like Colombia, Dominican Republic. I went to Ecuador for a small bit of time. I really Brazil has many virtues that put it above and beyond the other places. So, at any rate, let's go through these. Um, oh, Now most of these are going to apply to older men, but some will also apply to younger men, like this temporariness aspect. So I think that you should do whatever you can to ensure that, actually, E and F are related. If the girl is asking you, well, when are you leaving? When are every 5 minutes, it's it kind of tells you about what she's thinking, and but what pretty much all women are thinking, and that is that you're Mr. Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, right? And so you need to not um, you need to not have any illusions about that. So which dating apps work? I have found that Brazil Cupid is far better than the other ones. I don't know. I don't know, far better. What does that mean? I would say it's like I get 3 times as better results from Brazil Cupid than Tinder and Badoo. Okay, and I think um, now, does that relate to oldness or youngness? Probably not. So that applies to both. Now, if you are a young guy, I would say that you probably will should go to the south of Brazil. I would say Rio And Sao Paulo, I don't like Sao Paulo. Or some of these other cities in the south might be better for you. But so the converse is for older guys, no, I don't think so. I think it's better in a place where there isn't quite as much focus on youth culture, um, and sort of more uh, trivial symbols or trivial successes, kind of flash in the pan. Oh, he seems cool. He's young, good looking. There's a lot of that in Rio. And so I think, and I know without any shadow of a doubt that when I was living there, 2001, 2002 mainly, when I was in my early 30s, and now I'm in my early to mid 50s. Um, it was a very different experience. So being an older guy, you kind of have to think about these things. Um, so let's see here. What else? Now I'm kind of bopping around here, but that's probably the best way to do it. If you were to have a live business in Brazil where you have a physical presence and people can actually go in and see you there and understand that you're the owner, and that that pretty much puts you in a different category. Without a doubt, that puts you in a different category in terms of what level of chicks you can date. Are you going to be dating the Melania? Well, obviously, none of us are going to be dating Melania Trump, or very few in this world. And certainly not Melania Trump when she's 23 years younger than you, as old Mr. Trump did. But um, this is a big deal. And so I think that this applies to young and old. And the reason is because there's one experience I've had over and over in different ways. I've come to understand that one of the main things that are on these chicks' minds in dating a foreigner, whether in Brazil or anywhere else, but it's worth mentioning here. And again, I've said it before. And if this is the first one of these videos you watch, this is one of the biggest problems. Many women will not even consider dating you because it's like you're wearing this cap that you can't take off that says, I am Mr. Here Today, Gone Tomorrow. Even recently, there's a girl I've been dating here in Fortaleza, and I find that over and over she will continually ask me. She'll ask me the same question over when I've answered it before. A week, 10 days, 14 days later, she'll ask me again, quando você vai sair? Quando você vai voltar ao seu país? Or did you answer that question before? It's like they can't get this question out of their mind. It's understandable. So that is an issue, for sure. Now, I have a digital nomad visa. I've actually got, you get one of these residence cards that's good for 2 years. You have to renew it. But, I mean, that's something. It's something they can see, oh, wow, you have a residency card. They can see you go up to the bank account and do some of your banking there. That's something. That's some indicia of permanence. And that's very important. Um, so I think for older men, this issue of whether you're going to be here long term versus short term is more important for dating. I remember 20 plus years ago, 22, 23 years ago when I was a younger man, there were many times, now I don't, where I would meet a girl and we would be at a bar and there'd be my friends, her friends, and we'd end up making out, and one thing led to another, but both people are drinking, etc. So there's more chances for the young people for younger guys to meet chicks that way that really don't apply as much to older guys because, let's be honest with ourselves here. I think that couldn't see myself going and hanging out at the bars. First of all, I don't go to bars anymore. I don't do the nightlife. I just focus on my work. Um, and I meet girls at a shopping mall or a restaurant, but usually a shopping mall because it's the easy place to find. And there's no messing around for me. But so those days are gone for me, but though older men really don't belong in a young bar where everyone's from 25 to 35 years old or 20 to 30, not really. It's not quite the same deal. So for us, I think this issue of permanence is more important. It's not just like, hey, let's just meet at this moment and everyone starts dancing together, and before you know it, they're kissing and you're drinking and then you're sleeping together with the chick, and there you go. So you've got to be someone where they think, oh well, I'm gonna have some kind of more serious relationship with her. So if you could say, hey, so you need to think about that. The longer term plan is more important for older guys. And I absolutely, if you think you're just going to come here like on a 2 week trip and meet girls or something, that's just ridiculous. Now, I don't see how you shouldn't be thinking that. And if you are thinking that, you should maybe you're just going for whores. Okay. So everything I'm talking about here obviously has nothing to do with prostitutes or whores. Okay. So obviously, hopefully you understand that. And there are an element of people, you could see them online and even on some YouTube videos where they can't stop going on about Brazilian chicks, and then you kind of dig into what they're saying. Maybe you look at some of their photos and you realize, oh, these guys are just going there and paying whores or something. No, that's no good. So, here you go. Lower class women. Yeah. Yep. Yep. A lot of people don't realize that. You will, as an older guy, you will probably end up dating lower class women. Okay. I remember some of the women I was dating when I was 31 years old in Rio de Janeiro. They were in no way lower class at all. They had good educations, um, and they lived in the south of Rio in Copacabana, Ipanema, Barra da Tijuca. Um, but nope, it's not the way it is anymore. Now, when I say lower class, I just mean not very well educated, or sometimes, I mean, not always, it's a numbers game. I would say by and large, 4 out of 5 women who approach you through the dating apps will no longer be those younger girls who are well educated. Those girls are snapped up off the market, most of them. And which is another reason why you will, as an older man dating in Brazil, you will be dating a single mother. 9 out of 10 times, okay, you will be. Now, so what is when you take that into consideration, the lower class aspect, okay, you absolutely must be somewhat fluent in Portuguese. Yes, you must. Don't fool yourself. You really must be somewhat fluent in Portuguese. Now, how fluent? Somewhat fluent. How fluent is that? What does that really mean? All right, do a few things. If you're not, well, let's just start with this. If you are not willing to commit the 1,000 most commonly found words, and here I'm going to do something. Whoops. Okay, you need to go and find a list. They're easy to find online of the most common 1,000 vocabulary words, and you need to absolutely get those backwards and forwards. Um, Top 1500, you need to be able to see and recognize them. Top 500 words, man, you need to be able to recall those in live speech. Take a first year university course book on Portuguese, and go into your the bookstore for your local university or buy it on Amazon and really do that thing. Do it from start to finish. Write out all the exercises, start to finish. Practice your pronunciation on YouTube. Forget the subjunctive for now. Okay, if you're me, you're not going to forget it. Eventually, you're going to really want it and go for it. But we don't have that in English. Forget the subjunctive. Now, a couple caveats, provisos. If you're a veteran of Brazil or Colombia and you found some other way to, over the years, become fluent, fine. You could have your own way of doing it. I'm just saying this is the way I would coach someone. And it's what I did. And I did a lot more than that. And learning languages is something I've been doing for forever. Okay. And I find it very fun and interesting. Now, if you are 20 to 35 years old, you intend on living in Rio, and you're sure you're going to develop a social circle, I bet you could get away with, now in Rio, I bet you could get away with dating girls who can speak enough English. Okay? I bet you could. And I bet you'd find girlfriends who are willing to date you just for the English aspect, and maybe you could turn that into something else. Okay? But even then, you're still going to need to learn some Portuguese, right? Even then, you're still going to need to learn some Portuguese. If you're not going to really invest something in learning the language, you should just stop right now, right? Just stop and do something else. Okay, so let's see here. The tax aspect. You need to also understand that if the tax rate in Brazil is higher, it's 27.5%. Again, 27.5%. Now, I'm well above. I don't have a huge income, but it's pretty decent. And I'm going to end up paying more tax, depending. I am. So you guys need to think about that. And now, if you now, I can't speak to exactly how the tax implications will affect a retired person. If you're an older person and you've got your finances are such that you've got retirement income, I'm not speaking to that. You should still look into it, obviously. But at any rate, now if you are low income, and you're just going to start by living here for a year or something, and you're not going to be generating income. I'm not generating income in Brazil. I work for a company outside of Brazil, but you need to think about this too. Okay. Let's see here. Now, another thing I will say is that this may cause me to not stay in Brazil for forever. Yeah, it really, and just 2 days ago I saw there's news that all of a sudden any transfers using Pix, which is a Brazilian financial service that everybody uses, over 5,000 reais, nearly $1,000, maybe 800 or 900, depends on the exchange rate. If you start transferring more than $800 to someone, all of a sudden there's these record keeping and notification triggers to the Brazilian tax, the Brazilian version of their IRS, their version of the IRS. There's all kinds of, and Brazil is, once you start reading online, you'll discover that Brazil is a so-called high tax and high enforcement country. There's some countries they're high tax but very low enforcement. Others are low tax, high enforcement. Um, which just means that in practical terms, in practical realities, you're not going to be having these people, really breathing down their neck uh, after you, at least while you're inside the country. Um, but in Brazil, that's not the case. Actually, their bureaucracy can be very aggressive. On the other hand, sometimes Brazil's bureaucracy, if you abide by it and you go by it, it works well, and sometimes it works quickly. Okay. So I may do a video on the digital nomad visa, but I was very impressed with how quickly and thoroughly the authorities processed my application, as well as got me my new residence card, and the time spent, down at the office, filling out limited amount of paperwork, etc. I personally found that although it was somewhat burdensome, and I hired a lawyer to do it for me, although it was burdensome, it was done very well on their part, and that's kind of ties into the high enforcement aspect. I wouldn't try to live here long term and be on the wrong side of that system. Okay. So just you're going to have to think about that. And also, I may not stay here forever. It's a big world, and I need to see if it's going to work out with my current girlfriend, who is a single mother, who, I'm not an exception. All the things I've just discussed mainly apply with her and her relationship to me and her background and these different things. But so at any rate, have a good one, you guys.